Okay, assalamu alaikum. So, in the last video lecture, we demonstrated how to calculate area of a circle in C++. We wrote a program, .cpp, C++ program. That was circle.cpp, if you remember. It was a simple program, main function, float pi, r, and area. Pi is a constant. We can use constant keyword. That's better if you use that. Pi, I've set it at 3.42. Enter, we enter radius, C in, analogous to scanf. Radius, area is equal to pi into r. Here, we calculate area and get key for screen height. Now, you know this structure of this program. It's more or less similar to C program. But in C++, we'll be focusing on writing how to write object-oriented programming. In earlier lectures, in earlier video demonstrations, please go through those demonstrations to lectures where I have explained the use of writing an object-oriented program, the need of writing an object-oriented program. What are the uses of writing an object-oriented program? The object-oriented programming paradigm is certainly better than simple structured programs. If you remember, I told you that once the program size increases, it's difficult to manage the code. And there are more problems associated with simple structured program. When we write object-oriented programming, we have more secure software, more secure programs. Data and functions are managed or encapsulated in classes. Class, data plus functions. More importantly, we set data members as private and functions or methods as public to access those data members. There's no direct access to the data members. So more on object-oriented programming will be discussed in second half of this course, but just to give an understanding of what we are to learn about, I'm here giving a parallel circle program, a program where we will demonstrate same output, same inputs, but the paradigm will be object-oriented programming. We'll be focusing more on object-oriented programming concepts in the second half. But here I'm giving you an conceptual hands-on view about how to write an object-oriented program. Okay, let's start. Now, this program you already know about. Now, object-oriented program. This is this one. Now see the difference. We have header files, more or less same header files. Now here, class, the keyword class is used. Class is a keyword in C++. The name of the class is circle. We have data members. We have set the scope resolution. Scope of these data members in this class as private. Okay, private. We'll be more talking about on what is private scope, what are public data access members, what is the difference in public, private, protected data access. Now, data we have scope to private, float pi. Then we have another data member that is radius and area. Okay, variables. Now, public, we have one function here. The important thing about this function is name of this function is same as the name of the class. Such a function is called constructor. A constructor function. We use a constructor here because whenever we have something to initialize, here we want to initialize the value of this pi for this class, for the objects of this class. More specifically, for the objects of we have a class that is a template. We have the objects that are the real entity. map to real entities in the object-oriented world. Now, class template circle. We have one public member function, that is circle, that is name is same as the what, as the class itself. Such a function is called constructor. It is used to initialize some data members. Here we need to initialize pi, that is we will initialize it to 3.4. Now another function we have, return type is float, name of the function is calculate area. What it does, it calculates the area. It's called pi r square, the way we did it in simple C++ program. Return area, it returns area. One more function we have, get data. Return type is void get data. What we does, we get the input data from the user. Enter radius C in R. Okay, it is set to R variable, stored in the variable R. Now another member function we have, put data. What it does, it displays the area on the screen. So in total, we have some private data members, float by area, or we have some public methods to access, to process that data. Circle, first one is constructor to initialize. Sometimes by default there is one constructor for a class. By default there is a default constructor. Whenever we try to create an object, there's a constructor involved. But here we are using a constructor specifically for initializing. We'll be discussing more on constructors. We'll be discussing more on object-oriented programming in the second half of this course. I again repeat, don't get confused. Here I'm just giving an overview how to write a program, same program that you wrote in C++, a simple C++ non-object-oriented program, how to write that in object-oriented form. But more about OOP concepts, object-oriented programming concepts, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and something more and more. These functions, methods, etc., private access scope, protected members, that's constructors, destructors, we will be discussing the second half of this course. Now, coming back to this topic, we have a circle, class, we have private members, we have public, one for methods, one is constructor, another we have for calculate area, another we have for getting the data from the user, another for putting the data, displaying the data on the screen. So we have defined these functions inline inside the class. Sometimes we'll be declaring the functions in the class and defining their body outside the class. That is also permissible as long as we are in the same class. Okay, and public access. Now, see here. Last of all, you will see we enter the class with this semicolon, bracket and semicolon. Don't forget to include this. So we have a class, circle, we have private members, float pi, float r, area, we have public methods. One is constructor, another is a member function. Member function is calculate area, another member function is get data, another is put data. Then we this is terminal character here to end the class. Okay, scope this right brace. Okay, main function. Now we are going to use this class to create the objects. Class is a template, object is a what? Instance. An example of that class. Now clear screen, circle. This is how we make objects of a class in C++. Circle, name of the class, and C1, name of the object. Here we have created only one object of this template circle. One C1 is the name of that object. We can create as many as we wish. C1, C2, C3 you can try. But the important thing will be C1, object 1, the data associated with object 1 is different from the data associated with object 2. For example, in class student, we have a class student. The member data is roll number, name, okay, roll number, name. But each student one, S1, the roll number is different, name is different. S2, S3 are the instances of this class student. Same way, we have circle 1, the data is associated with circle 1 may be different than circle 2. Hope you got this concept. Circle, we have created here only one object of this class, that is circle 1. We can create many. You can try creating many objects like this. Circle 1, then comma, circle 2. Okay, here we have created one. C1.get data. This is the way to access the public data method of this class circle. Remember, we cannot access private methods, private data members outside the class boundary. Because this get data is a public function, we can access it. And in itself, this get data has access to that private data. Okay, C1.get data, C1. First we take input data from the user, then we calculate area, C1.calculate area, C1.put data. But this is for one object C1. We can now, if we create another object circle C2, get data will have to be called, then the data radius will be something different or same, get data, calculate area, put data for circle 2, circle 3. I gave you the example of student class. Student 1, roll number is different, student 2 different. Okay, has its own identity. We call it each object in object-oriented programming has each instance of class has its own identity. Let's run this program. Enter radius 3 from the previous example. Area was same, 30 point something. Now Alt C, Alt R, enter radius 7. If you remember the value, the area was 167 point something. So this was how to write a simple C++ object-oriented program from the same tasks. Task was to compute the area of a circle. First, we computed the area of circle without involving OOP concepts. Second, we computed the area of circle with object-oriented programming paradigm. Thank you very much.